If you deal with panic attacks and anxiety, I'm going to tell you how you can make it a game to overcome your anxiety. If you don't know me, I dealt with anxiety for 16 years. Anything that made me feel trapped, I would go into a full-blown panic attack. I had a bad experience when I was younger that stuck with me for years. I did therapy, I did medication. Nobody could tell me how to get rid of it until I decided to study the brain myself on how to overcome it, and I have been successful at doing that, and now I teach you how to overcome yours. So if you actually want the exact resources that I use and the exact methods that I use, check out the link in my bio. So one of the things that sets me apart from all other anxiety coaches is the fact that I understand the brain more than just panic and anxiety. I understand that the brain works off of pain and pleasure principles, meaning it wants us to avoid pain as much as possible, and it really loves things that bring us pleasure. The problem is when you try to overcome anxiety, you see that as something painful. And this is why so many people don't even start, because you're being told that you have to sit in discomfort and you have to respond differently to that discomfort. And it feels very fake and very foreign. Nobody wants to feel anxiety. So why would we want to go do that, right? And so this is why I included this in my book. So if you actually want the book for the step-by-step methods on how to do this, check out the link in my bio, because I know in order to get your results, you're going to have to not have so much pain attached to overcoming anxiety. So why don't you just make it a game? You do have to respond differently to anxiety, but why don't you see how well you can do it by creating a game out of it? For example, say you go do an exposure today. You're like, look, I need to respond differently to anxiety, so let me put myself out there to be triggered just a little bit, so therefore I can respond differently to it, right? So your brain's looking for that evidence. But the missing piece is, why don't you make it a game? Why don't you make it into something fun? Anytime you do an exposure, give yourself a reward. Now, this reward could be something very small. It could be instant, or it could be built up. When I first started my recovery, this is what I actually had to do. Anytime I did some sort of exposure where I responded differently, whether it was very mild or very big, I would give myself a star. And by the end of 10 stars, I would buy myself something that I really, really wanted that I would just always push off and pull to the side. Because also with the brain, your brain loves reward systems. And you need to reward yourself for the behaviors that you do that are getting the results that you want. And so making it a game told my brain, oh, she likes this. This is not really an issue. Getting a reward out of this, so this is actually something fun and exciting. Because at the end of the day, you can either do these exposures and just kind of be miserable and just slowly watch your brain rewire, or you can make it a game and make it fun. I also have an example of something I used with one client of mine years ago where he had anxiety specifically at grocery stores. I talk about that in my book, so check that out because there's tons of methods in there for you. But you don't have to overcome